Today I'm in Claremore, Oklahoma, and I'm at a museum, not just any museum. It's on Route 66, which is kind of historic in itself, but it's the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum. And it has been said that it is the world's largest private collection of firearms. But it's not just firearms. There is over 10,000 firearms in this museum, but it also has over 50,000 items, including what you're looking at now, which consists of at least 1,200 steins from different places. And on the opposite side, you'll see the final resting place of J.M. Davis and his wife, Genevieve. And after he died, his wife got permission for them to be buried here because he had made the remark he wanted to be buried with his guns. And it says there's only 2 places in Oklahoma where people are entombed in Oklahoma property that is not privately owned, and that's here and at the Will Rogers Museum. So let's head on down. I saw a sign that caught my eye. Daisy Guns Museum section of the museum. As you just go straight back on the first aisle, you'll see that. But men, don't get discouraged. We're going to start looking at some of those other guns, including guns that Outlaws and Lawmen owned, if you'll stick around closer to the end of this video. And like I said, it's over 50,000 items, so women won't get bored either. There's other things like furniture and statues and stuff, but it's mainly on the guns. And it's here you'll see a gun that kind of caught my eye, looked different, but found out it was made in about the 1600. Then I came around and saw a section in the military guns, and it had several cases of Japanese made guns and also German guns. And I'm sorry about the glare, but they're all behind glass cases, so hopefully most of it won't have a glare to it. I found that helmets are kind of interesting, and that one you've seen in lots of movies, or at least I have, but the next one on the other side here looks kind of different and was kind of fascinating to me. Well, this is just one of, I don't know how many rows of guns they are, and so I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse at some, but I see some guitars down there, and the ladies may be interested in that. But on my way down to the guitars, saw saddles. So he collected many things. Most of it seemed like to do with Western stuff. There's some branding irons up there. And it gives you some symbols of the branding irons and stuff like that. And there's a pair of chaps that I thought was kind of fascinating. Of course, he had lots of bridle bits above the saddles, but that wasn't as interesting to me as the musical instruments I see. But I'll just kind of give you a brief glimpse of it. But when I get to the Outlaws and Lawmen section, that caught my interest a lot. So stick around. It's coming. To me, I found some of their real old instruments that they had on display there very fascinating, with names of some of them, like the banjolin looking thing there, they call it. Not a banjo, but anyway, I never heard of that before. Of course, the zither I have, and a dobro, and a lot of other things. And just as, before we get back to the guns, we'll get a little bit more look of some instruments, along with some more modern looking instruments. And I will say that this museum in 1965, he was wanting his collection to be on display, and he approached the state of Oklahoma about constructing a museum to collect put all his collection, and they agreed to a lease to have the valuable collection at the state of Oklahoma for a period of 99 years for the sum of $1. And he ended up getting it built, and it didn't mention, but that was him and his wife breaking ground on one of those pictures close to their casket. And in 1969 is when this museum officially opened to the public on J.M. Davis's 82nd birthday. And it is free of charge, but of course donations are accepted, and that's always a good thing to support something so nice that is educational and a learning experience for all ages. Well, before I lose your interest completely on the guns and all that's in this museum, we're going to head over to the section that's got a banner saying Outlaws and Lawmen section. And I thought this was very fascinating. So even from a woman's point of view, you kind of remember some of the old westerns, like the gunfight at the OK Corral and Pancho Villa and all those kind of things. So we're going to take a look at what they've got here in the case. And it's quite a large case of it. And of course, you may recognize this guy as Pretty Boy Floyd, which was Charles Floyd. And there's one of his guns. Actually, there's a couple of them. This one you're seeing here is also one of his guns. And it's got some of the pictures, and it tells stories about most of the guns, or a little bit on the Outlaw or the Lawmen or whatever. Looks like Pretty Boy Floyd had quite a gun collection, as you would expect him being an outlaw. This one even talks about a bank robbery, and it has the blood stains even on the sack that where there was injuries obtained during that hold up they had. And of course, some of the bandits, I don't recognize the name, but I'm not real big on unless they made movies or something like that about them. Of course, I've heard of John Wesley Hardin. And coming up, I think nearly everybody would recognize the poster for Bonnie and Clyde movie and all. And it tells about this gun here that was part of the gang's stash of guns, and how it was found and where it was found. And it was actually in Missouri that they confiscated this gun from them. And this Merle Gill had a big Outlaw and Lawmen section, and J.M. Davis actually bought out his whole collection and all. Some of the guns were kind of small, so I guess they had them as kind of hidden on them, besides probably what they had that was larger firearms, but not sure. And everybody knows about Jesse James, or at least heard of him. There's a gun connected with him. There's where a gun was used to kill a mother-in-law and father-in-law of the bandit. Of course, here's some of the Lawmen's guns, and telling the story about some of them that are rather famous throughout history. And of course, everybody knows about Wild Bill Hickok, and he had a very tiny little gun there. And of course, with it being over 10,000 guns, you're not going to be able to see them all. And some of them I just gave a really fast glance at. But of course, this section caught my eye more than any of the others, so that's the reason we're going a little slower on this section of the museum. And as you can see, they've got each of the guns tagged and labeled and everything. I'm sure they've done that for insurance purposes. It's a large building. It's like a 40,000 square foot building, so it takes you a while, especially if you're going to read a lot of the signs. There's no way you'd get it probably done in one visit. It would take several. And here's part of the Dalton gang gun. And Cole Younger, most people have heard of him also. And as we finish up looking at these, there's a little something else to go along with the section that he bought with the Merle Gill's collection. It wasn't just, there's Pancho Villa's bandit's gun, which caught my eye. But I was going to say, when he bought out Merle Gill's collection, it included stuff such as hanging ropes and handcuffs and that kind of stuff too. So here's just a glimpse of part of that collection that he had. He even had the mask or the bag or whatever you want to call it that they put over their heads before they hung them, and labeled who they belonged to and when they were hung. And then there's a little bullet that kind of caught my eye right in the middle of it all, because it talks about it. Frank James is the brother of Jesse James, of course, and tried to get a little bit more of that glare off, how this little cartridge came to be and everything. So they saved lots of stuff if they got a chance to get it for this museum. And just some straight jackets and of course more handcuffs and stuff. Now just back at looking a few more of the rows of guns. Just hopefully you'll see something in here that caught your interest, and maybe you can pause it and get a closer look at it. Since I'm not a gun expert, I can't say a whole lot about any of them unless I'm reading the signs to you, and you could probably pause it and read your own signs. There's some guns that were made in Belgium. And they've, and I don't remember if I've got that on this video. I don't think I do. They claim to have the tiniest gun that's ever been made also in this museum. And this is just a glimpse of a dedication to Will Rogers. He is also buried, and they have a museum memorial to him here in Claremore. They're not going to do that today or on this trip. I've done that before when we were out here a few years back. But there's a rifle that's got a Will Rogers carving on it. And it says there was only 101 of these commemorative rifles was produced. And of course they've got one here. So I found that kind of interesting, a picture like of his house and museum also. And firearms from around the world, and some of them really had different type stocks and barrels and stuff to them that was real fancy. And I think that's pertaining to maybe, I don't know if that gun or that bow looking thing above it. And that handle up there on that one is very unique. Some of them makes you wonder, was it mainly just for looks? But, you know, this one's got stuff inlaid on it, or was it really used a lot? The handle on this one is pretty carved and delicate looking, I think. I know this video is getting kind of long, and I do say I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen of it. Hope you'll stick around and watch the whole thing on it, and would like to say it means a lot that you have been watching my videos. If you're one of my subscribers, and if you're new to my channel, welcome, and hopefully you'll find something of interest that kind of is interest to me. Of course, I will add that my husband was more interested in this museum than I was. I just couldn't believe at the different types guns and things they had here. And he was also, J.M. Davis, a big pipe collector. And I don't remember how many estimated he had, but he had lots of pipes, as you can see. They have to be from different countries and all, because they are just so different in looking at them. And I find the carved pipes are just really delicate looking and unique. You wouldn't think about them being ready to go on a pipe stem. And some of the stems look like just little tree branches to me, but I don't know if that's special carving to make it look that way or what. And I apologize for my reflection there. And this tells a story about how this special type pipe there is made and what it's made with. And that was very fascinating to read. If you may want to pause it and learn something like I did about pipes. Well, I think we've looked at enough pipes, so let's head on to another section and see if we can find something else of interest. Swords. There's an awful big collection of swords in the museum. This one I just decided to video to give you a glimpse of it, but they also had from fraternal orders of organizations and stuff. And this caught my eye because this is a section on toy guns, and I'm sure the children will like it. And my husband was liked the cowboy guns too when he was growing up, and he recognized a few of these guns that he may have played with for a while. Of course, they tell what guns that they used for some of the movies and all, like the Lone Ranger one there. And of course, there's Gene Autry singing Cowboy, and they even had a gun made called for him, and it was like in 1939, and there that is. And it looks really realistic, so I can see why the children loved it. And then you get into the space age toy guns for the children, and there's like a Buck Rogers gun. Could zap you and you could be in outer space. And I had to show you this because my husband loved it as when he was growing up, Davy Crockett stories and movies and guns and things. And there's what his would look like from the antique look of it. Now let's get back to some real guns here. And I found that some of these with large double barrels and stuff look really awesome to look at. I'd certainly hate to be shot by one of them. Let's get ready to close out this section about the museum and this video. My husband said, you got to come on over and look at this display here. It's so unique. My husband likes wood carving and making things out of wood, and this display is where a man that was a wood carver, Don Daggett, and he made all these guns just out of wood in here and painted them to match up, and he just did so authentic looking you would never know that they're not the real thing. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and hope you have a good day. Until next time.